Okay, here's the first painting we're going to do of the 4 painting series. This is all going to be 16 by 20s, and they will slowly progress in difficulty. Now, even though there's blending involved in this one, it's going to be rather easy to blend the way we will with our pre-mixed colors. We're going to hang on to this color up here to do pretty much the entire painting. We'll mix a little bit of greens in to give us this distant brush and trees in the background, and then we will slowly make it more and more intense green as we get closer to the viewer. But now, I always take my own pictures for 2 different reasons. One is I know there's no AI involved, and I know what was going on at the time. So by taking many photos at the same time, I make a lot of mental notes throughout all my photographs. And then 2 is that I also want to have a composition in mind. When I take my photos, I will know that it's just a close-up of a reference to help me with a painting, or it's an established landscape as it is. So in other words, this one, I already had a composition in mind when I took this particular photograph. However, I can improve, if we can, with composition on what the photograph is showing us. In other words, there are 2 straight lines in this photo. This one right here of the pine trees, and this one right here with the azaleas and mountain laurels. Some of those are blueberries. That's great. We'll include them also. But what I want to do is possibly break up this line right here. And what we could do is add some trees in here, in between these down here and these you could barely see up here. So instead of having just the trees abruptly end right here and then just a few out into the distance, I wonder if it would be better if we'd take trees and then put them in here and let them slowly disappear off into the fog and the distance, and then we would create a circular movement this way with our trees as they slowly went into the painting. And then down here, the same thing. We could break up this line down here by just taking some of these out and then adding some in other places, or even make them going back into the distance and slowly disappear instead of just an abrupt end that creates a straight line across our composition. Now, when we paint, it is up to us to improve our composition on top of what kind of references we're using. So that's what we'll have in mind when we start. So let's go ahead and get started on this 16 by 20. I will have a color like this already mixed up, and then we will mix it with some different shades of greens to give us this distant field tundra look. And then what we'll also do is maybe add a little wee bit more fog through here and have it like it's lifting up over the trees, just so it's not just a bland, straight gray the whole way across the painting. Let's go ahead and get started on our painting. Okay, here's our 16 by 20 panel. It is just one I prepared myself. It's just hard maple. I seal all sides and then put 4 coats of gesso on this side. I have that link I'll place in the description below as to how I do those. And this is what we're going to get started on. Our reference is up in the upper left hand corner. I'll leave it there. The first thing I have to do is give it several coats of this light gray right here, and that will be the start of our color. And since I already have this pre-mixed, this is the color we'll be going back to all the time, whether we want to touch up some trees and eliminate some, in other words, cut back on them, or even push them back into the distance by adding this color. That's what we'll be able to do. We'll diminish its contrast against that same color. But what we'll also do is, once I start adding some of the darker colors, I'll probably start making some of the trees a little bit smaller than I want. The reason why is I can always add to them by adding darker greens and building on the foliage of each tree, but I may have a hard time cutting back on it. In other words, once I start adding subtle values of a light gray, in other words, almost a pure white, and dusting it on as fog going over, I would have a more difficult time trying to match those colors exactly if I want to cut back on the size of the tree. So if I only have this color in the background and nothing else, Then I could put my pine trees against that and then use this same color to either eliminate them altogether or cut back on their size. That's very important to remember, because once we start making variations of colors and adding different colors to them, then it would be a lot more difficult to blend that same color back into what we already have. I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple coats of blues. We'll just do that fast painting, and then we'll get into the point where we're ready to start our pine trees and our tundra back here. Let's go ahead and start. Okay, right now I'm just using my neutral gray to get everything started, and then I'll even blend wet into wet, the greens and just a dark gray also. That will give me a chance to start blocking in my shapes. What I will end up doing is just going back and forth lights and darks to just slowly refine my shapes, and it will slowly minimize my contrast. Okay, quick update. I want to give this one more coat of gray at least, just a straight gray right up in here. I could see a little bit of white peeking through from the background. And then I went a little wee bit too limey green here, and I'm going to tone that down. I want more of a subtle grayish green, because those colors are pushed way back, so they won't be as bright and as vivid as these colors down here. Now I'll slowly change that. What I'll do is keep on adding my shadowed areas, and then that will change that a little bit so it pushes it back further. And then I'll start some of my trees over in here, and then once I get some of the trees done, then I'll go ahead and try and mist a little bit of fog over those, just to put fog between the most distant trees and the closest trees that will be down in here. Then that way there'll be look like a little bit of fog rolling up the valley up over those trees. And then, in other words, the tops of them might be a little bit more visible than the bottom, just like in the reference of some of the background trees in the foreground down here, that the tops are a little bit more visible than the bottoms. Let's go ahead and get back to work. Please note the lighter gray that I'm putting down now as the foggy sky background is actually lighter until it dries. This is what I have brought up before in the past, that is very difficult to match colors if you're looking for a pure color background. Blending different colors and mixing colors in a painterly kind of way makes it far more possible, but if you need a solid color, it's always best to mix that solid color ahead of time. Going now with a real vibrant green, I'm just blocking in where I want my foreground azalea, blueberry, and mountain laurel trees and shrubs to be. Going back in with the light gray, I will block out some of the areas, and again, it's just refining the shapes over and over. Adding that same light gray to the greens of the distant pine trees will push them back far further. Now I'm just drawing out these trees one by one, but I am very careful in its placement. I don't get a second chance if I put it in the wrong place. I want to watch how they overlap each other, where they are. Sometimes it's very difficult to actually stagger something in a natural way, such as nature, but not to make it look as it was purposely placed there. Working on the foreground trees, I have to remember the branches coming out at me and the ones going away. This will make a big difference as to the shapes of the trees themselves. It's very easy to get into the habit of just drawing branches to the left and right of the trunk, but we have to remember that it's a three-dimensional object, so we want to try and include some of the branches going away from us and coming right at us. These are often a little bit shorter than the ones going straight to the left and right. Those branches I will refine even further when it comes to adding my highlights in the foreground part of the tree compared to just the edges of the left and right branches. This will give me a three-dimensional look to all of my trees instead of just a flat, monochromatic color-looking tree. Now, when I work with my acrylics, my main objective is to be able to blend with them. However, that means thinner paints than usual, so I may have to go back over with whites to bring out the vibrant colors that I may want to add later. This is just one of the possible options I have to be able to bring out the highlights of any object that I'm painting. Once I place down my white, that is the most critical part, and then I could glaze colors over that white to get myself a more vibrant yellow, orange, red, or whatever the case may be. Then I could go back in with further deeper, darker colors to add my shadowed areas. And again, I'm just going back and forth for my lights and darks, will minimize my contrast and further define my shapes. This, of course, is after I have my shapes in their permanent location. Once I establish a location, I can then refine each shape. However, I want to make sure each shape is where it's going to be permanently. Otherwise, I may run into tangents. Before I start adding all my detail, I want to make sure the composition is solid the way it is. A tangent is when two objects share the same line, and they can become very confusing because then it's hard to tell which one is in front of which. Let's take a look. Okay, just a quick note on how you could always improve a photograph. In this photograph right here, these two trees, this one behind right here is a little bit darker and a little bit more grayed out, and this foreground tree is a little bit more of a snappy yellow and a little bit more contrasty, where because they share the same left edge going the whole way down both trees, they start to look like one big tree. But that really gets confusing because it could look a lot larger than any other tree in the painting, which will make it stand out. But then also, because they're two completely different values, that could get a little bit confusing too. Because although it looks like one tree, it has the values of two different trees. So for that reason, I have to watch to make sure I don't put anything contradictive in with my painting and do the exact opposite of what I'm trying to achieve. Let's keep working. That is just nothing more than trying to improve on what photographic reference you have. Remember, photographs, when they're taken, you only have what Mother Nature offers you. You may be able to change your angle of view, your lens selection, your aperture, and your shutter speed, but you only have what is there to work with. When we paint, we could change things around and revise things completely to suit our composition and our design. What I wanted to do now is add in more fog here and there. And if you'll notice, the fog darkens up quite a bit as it dries. Again, this will depend on how much matte medium, or if you use gloss medium, will depend on how much you have mixed in with the paints, and that will determine how the values will end up. That is what takes a little bit of experience to get adjusted, especially how you have your paints mixed. This is another reason why I like to have my pre-mixed transparent white and other colors, because I know how they're going to go down working with them from previous paintings. If I have to even add more matte medium to it to thin it out even further, then I will be able to take it down in very subtle changes in value. It is important that putting my fog down, I could go back over the tops of the trees because that is above the fog, meaning that if I want to change the values of my distant low ground brush, that would be kind of dangerous, because what it will do is it will make it look like I have a hole in my fog. Whatever values I have down as my distant ground brush, then I would take the fog over that. With a real live painting, you could tell what color is over which color. And also, I'm definitely blending out my brush strokes completely. I don't want any hard edges from the brush itself. I want it to look like a mist, so the mist effect overpowers or dominates the brush effect. Okay, let's see what we have. Now, first I just tilted down the drawing board to make sure that it's perpendicular and nice and square to show the painting as it's meant to be seen. I had a real strong tilt when I paint. What I want to show you first is the tree line. I completely changed it compared to our reference photo. In the photo, it's just a strong tree line straight across here, and then these trees up here are very faint. Now I could change the size of these, the values of them, make them a little bit more faint, make them smaller, larger, whatever. Remember, this is acrylics. We really can't go wrong. If this tree now is a little bit too dark, I could tone it down. And that is what's really nice, that you could adjust things as you go. We would not have this opportunity with watercolors. We could always make things darker, but it would not be a traditional watercolor if we try and lighten things up, unless you have the ability to scrub it out without ruining your painting. These here, I wanted to stagger some of the trees, make it look like it's going down a ravine and around. I think it worked okay, but this is just to give you a rough idea how we could create fog and a very subtle blending ability, even though it's acrylics and it dries fast. Remember, just take a little wee bit at a time. I was using transparent white, and I don't want pure white because then it would stand out a little bit too much because it's an overcast day, and I don't think there would be any pure white in this painting. So what I did was tone down my transparent white with the mixed gray we have up here, and that just kind of gave it a little bit more color unity, so to speak, to match the rest of our painting. Now, remember, this is just a basic idea to give you a chance of blending some values together in acrylics. Be careful with what kind of photographs you choose to work from, or whatever you're going to work from. Have yourself a plan and just know how you're going to do things, and then just take your time. Blending this out, I just took a little wee bit of time, made sure it was dry, otherwise I'll start sludging it over and I'll start getting dark spots compared to the rest of my fog. With that said, this is the end of the first painting of the 4 painting series. The next one will be a little bit more of a challenge. This one, there's not too much to it, just a little wee bit. I just started painting. If you want to make a thumbnail sketch first and block in where your trees are going to be, make sure you shade them in so you know your values and how the trees are going to be, and not just an outline, because an outline won't help you very much as a value study. That is the end of this painting. Until I see you out in the field or back at the studio, we have a lot of demos coming. Thanks for watching.